high today. Cause it's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got shit to do.
Good morning. It is Friday, TGIF. Good to see everybody this morning, man. We made it. We made it through the whole week. You and me together. We went on a journey. We went on a quest. We had an adventure. We had some ups and downs, man. A lot of stuff's going on this week, but I'm glad we made it. It's Friday. It's the weekend, man. It's going to be crazy. Y'all know there's another freaking ice storm on the way. Not just an ice storm, a 2,000-mile long ice storm, you know, that's stretching across our country for the majority of it. You got people down in New Mexico that are fighting ice and snow all the way up across through Texas, Ohio. Man, they had a tornado in Alabama. It's weird. We're all experiencing this snowstorm together, but that's what it's all about, coming together and going through this stuff. Anyway, guys, we got a special show. As you can see, I'm having technical difficulties this morning. My green screen isn't working, so hope you guys can bear with me on that. Yeah, we have a special show. Sage News is here. Sage is in the building. He's gonna come on. We're gonna get deep into talking about the supply chain issues. But I hope you guys are having a great day. Let's see what we got in the house real quick. Jeep, what's up, man? Rockadoodle Farm, good morning. Georgia, good morning, sis. Boxo, Stars, Debbie, Guardian Prepping, good to see you again. Ghetto, what's up, man? Been up all night. I know you have, chilling. Jerry Robbins, good morning, good morning. Let's see, Full Monty in the house. What's going on with you, man? Hoop, there he is. What's up, brother? I'm a Huckleberry. Helene, good to see you, good to see you. Candle, good morning, good morning. All right, guys, so we're going to get into it. I want to talk about supply chain issues. So I asked the man with the plan. He's my go-to if I want to get information on this. I don't think he really needs much of an introduction. I'm sure you guys know and get news from him, but let me bring on Sage. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, buddy? So I see you have a green screen of a green screen.
Yeah, you like that? It's like
just messing with him today.
It's existential,
It is. I know we were having some technical difficulties and we tried it, and then for some reason I even switched cameras and we couldn't get his to work. I don't know what happened.
It's the ether, man. It's your aura. They know the technology can sense you.
I know. I think that's what it is. I've sent some stuff to Will a couple times and that broke his computer, and then I come on your show and your green screen don't work. So it's got to be me. It's got to be me.
You're like a technopath or something and don't even know it.
It's horrible. So what's going on?
Not too much, man. I like I say, I really think that these supply chain issues touch on a lot of stuff that we talk about in the news, and I think for a lot of folks, it's not sexy to talk about it, but we all experience it. I think we all see the supply chain issues when we go to the store, when we try to buy a car or a washing machine. We tried to get a washing machine here recently. Our washing machine broke, and the options of what we could get were very, very slim. And they said it's like, well, we can't get parts. So, I mean, we wound up getting one, but it was like a downgrade from what we had. But at this point, I was just glad we could get a new washing machine. So, but anyway, I wanted to ask you, like you are on point with this stuff, man. And I always wonder when I watch your videos, man, where's he get this info? Like what is your background? Like you seem on point and laser focused on this supply chain stuff.
Yeah, pretty much what I just so you know, when I was 20 years old, I started driving straight truck, and then 21, I started driving tractor trailer. Went to the Coast Guard, left the Coast Guard, and then went into back to driving truck again. It seems to be my calling. Moving from truck driving, I became a freight broker. While I was a freight broker, I had a carrier, I had drivers and stuff like that. And then one of my drivers, his brother passed away in a wreck, and he went back to driving local, and I just decided to stay with the freight brokering thing. And then as I progressed, I, started to get into, the true logistics end of it and the analytics of it and analysis of it. And that's kind of what I do now. And I specialize in overdimensional freight. That's all pretty much I do that, and the analysis of freight on what's going on. So I've been a part of it from all aspects, from all the way from technically loading trucks to now the actual logistics and moving of a lot of stuff. And I just doing that, you kind of get when you're a logistics specialist, you look down on everything because you have to see the big picture. Like it's not just me behind the windshield. I have to go from this truck, move this truck from here to there to deliver. The logistics person has to look down on it because I might have to have 30 trucks all deliver in 30 different locations and all this other stuff. So it's just kind of how the perspective in which I look at the situation that just gives me a different view of actually everything I look at, basically.
Right. That makes sense, man. I was thinking that you had to have some level of being part of the logistics of it because of the way you talk about it. You understand what's going on.
Right.
Like when you see something happening, like especially in your videos, it comes out. But I didn't know you were in the Coast Guard though. That's awesome. Are you on the West Coast?
I'm actually East Coast. I'm up here in the corner of Maine, near the next about 2 miles from the ocean and about 50 miles from Canada. So I'm up here in orbit. Well, if you consider it a flat Earth, I'm up here almost in orbit. So
yeah, right. Okay.
But no, and it's like I said, so it's just something that with everything going on in logistics and now everybody's kind of looking at logistics. Everybody's like, whoa, what's going on here? And logistics is hard. It's not an easy process to understand everything that's going on and how it works. It's an extremely fragile system the way we have it designed, or what we've come to have it designed to. And this is kind of how we got into this situation because how fragile it actually was.
So, I mean, so what is the major vulnerability? Is it because we're so interconnected internationally?
Yeah, well, kind of what happened with the, I'm going to try not to make sure you don't get yourself in trouble. What happened with the situation, which we all know about, which you can't talk about on YouTube, was a lot of what deals with in freight is called just-in-time freight, JIT. So we set things up to basically just get it when we absolutely need it, okay? So because of data collection, because data collection is one of the most profitable businesses out there. Everybody wants to collect data. Because of data collection and analytics and things like that, a lot of times I know what you need before you know you need it, right? Because I'm tapped in that I know every month you order a truckload of widgets, right? You don't even have to go check. I know it should be there. Well, what the situation did that caused us to put us in this was it broke the system. Everybody went out and bought all kinds of stuff that they've never bought before in large quantities. So what happened is now if I'm trusting my analytics and you call me up, you're like, hey, I'm out of widgets. I'm like, you shouldn't be out of widgets for another 2 months. Well, I'm out of widgets, so hurry up and order. I need more. Because everybody was buying 27 rolls of toilet paper rather than 2.
There you go.
That broke the analytics, and we were trusting on that analytics because as a industry, people, as technology comes out, we get rid of people, right? So there's nobody going back and checking inventory. You just trust the computer system to do it. Well, if there's nobody to go back and actually physically put their eyes on it, there's no way. If my analytics tell me you don't need it for 2 months, I'm not going to get it in. I'm not going to order it for 2 months. And that's kind of what broke the system in regards to now we're in a mass rush to order all this stuff. I don't know what you're out. People got to go check, and it just started to roll from there, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
and you have some other factors, but that was one of the main factors.
Okay. So was it the infusion, all the checks they were sending out to people during the pandemic? Is that what caused people to, and the panic buying too, like you said, with the toilet paper?
Right. And exactly. We have that. Plus you have the fact that, okay, I have to work from home. I need to get a camera. So now you're ordering a camera that you've never ordered a camera before. You're ordering a computer that you've never ordered a computer. So now all of a sudden there's an influx of completely swapping over from going to work to working from home and everything that you need to work from home. I need a desk. I need this. I need that. I need that. Well, that was not in the analytics for us to know. Let's say 10 people on average buy something. Now it's 100 people. Well, that analytic broke the system before we could get caught up. And then people started buying and pulling from country, obviously China and different countries like that where the goods come in. Now, we also had a trade, war going on. Plus we had containers and stuff like that, there's other, factors that are put in that. So it was kind of a tsunami of problems that arise from that.
Well, I mean, pre-pandemic, like early 2019, I mean, we were rolling along pretty good, right? I mean, there was no real supply chain issues.
Correct. There was, and this is what everybody's like, driver shortage. And 19, logistics pretty much stays the same, right? Logistics is a pretty consistent situation, and that's what businesses need. They need to be, just like if I were to come to you and say, hey, you pay rent. Well, instead of paying $500, I'm just going to use simple numbers. Okay. Instead of paying $500 rent all the time, we're just going to fluctuate your rent to whatever it's going to be. So it could be 500, next month it could be 1,000, and then the month after that it could be 450. It's very difficult for you to budget without consistency, right? You need that. So, right. Businesses need the same thing. They need consistency. So when it comes to freight being as consistent as possible allows businesses to grow. If I know how much it's going to cost me to ship this from here to there, I know how much I need to budget for that, and it allows me to properly quote big projects and stuff like that.
Okay.
So over the last, I don't even know, 20 years, freight has pretty much stayed very consistent, or they try to keep it as consistently as possible. Right. So in that aspect, you don't have a shortage of drivers because the freight that's coming in is consistent. The freight that's going out is consistent. You get some bumps in the road, but it's consistency that was most important.
Oh, okay.
We lost that in 2020, basically. We lost consistency, and it became peaks and valleys.
Okay. So, I mean, so there is a trucker shortage.
There is now, only because the peak that we're at, mm-hmm. we don't have the trucks to cover the peak to bring it down to consistent.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense. Perfect example would be somebody bringing in people during the Christmas rush at UPS or FedEx, right? For them to stay consistent and cover the freight, they need more people, but they lay those people off come January.
Okay. So
we don't have the pull of drivers to just bring them in to cover the rush. So the actual shortage is not having the holiday season, if you want to use that as a reference, is not having drivers. We have only that consistent flow of drivers. And of course, it's always dropping. We're always losing drivers as drivers get older and nobody wants to be a truck driver and stuff like that. So it is harder, but it's still, if things were consistent, we wouldn't have such a driver shortage.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, I've never looked at it from that perspective, that the amount of drivers we have is directly related to, the supply chain logistics, like you were saying. I've never
right. It's like that peaks and valleys. Like I said, if we were still back in 2019, we would have a small shortage of drivers, but nothing like we're considered now. Does that make sense? Like, because we're always losing drivers. It's not a job. A lot of people are growing up to say, I want to be a truck driver anymore. Everybody says, I want to be a YouTuber. You know what I mean? That's just mentality. But it's because of that spike, and we don't have an ability to pull, season workforce to cover that spike. That's why we're at a huge shortage of drivers.
Oh gosh. Okay. So I mean, so how do we fix it? What do we need to do? Or the powers that be, what do we need to do to get us back on track? Or can we? Or does something need to change? Is the whole system going to be different now?
Well, first we need to fire the entire administration and hire me. No, one of the things that the issue that we're having, one of the issues that they're having is it's not a simple fix, but the rail is key. Like railroad is key, because a railroad is like a bulk system drop. You can put 150 trucks on one train, right?
Yeah.
That's where you'd have to start. Now they're not, and the rail system is basically they know their importance, let's say. So they're now at a point now where they are making changes, in my opinion, to make things worse in regards to the BSFF and their attendance policy, which is something else to talk about. But you need to focus on the rail and get the rail to drop containers to rail depots. Right. To places that they can drop these off. That kind of allows bulk shipment, where now local trucks can come in and grab that freight and take it to where it's got to go. And that should be the focal point. The other focal point should be containers at the port. Like right now, when it comes to overdimensional freight, and I'm going to try not to put everybody to sleep, but maybe a few. Overdimensional freight, you can only put one item on a truck if it's overweight. Because if it's multiple items, you can take one off and you're no longer overweight, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So they need to waive that. They need to say, look, you can load 2 20-foot containers on a 48-foot flatbed, and you can permit your weight. So whatever you would be legally able to permit with one piece, we're going to let you permit with 2 pieces. That would allow drivers to take 2 containers out of the port on one truck. But they're not. They're not doing that. And it's not something that we're changing the weight restrictions. We're just making, instead of being 1 piece, you're 2 piece. So if you can permit 92,000 pounds with 1 piece, if you're in my opinion, if they were to change the waive that, you could permit 2 containers and be 92,000 pounds. So I'm not saying up the weight. I'm just saying allow for multiple pieces. And now you can have trucks go in there, and even if you're paying a truck and a half price, that driver's going to say, I'm on it. I'll go get it, because you're still saving half. I used to do this with a trailer that I had. I built a trailer that could haul 2 pieces up to 40 feet long. So I could haul 2 20-foot pieces, 2 fiberglass tanks.
Okay.
Any other truck would have to only be able to put 1 piece on. So I built the trailer and went to the customer and said, look, instead of charging you a 2 truck price, I'll charge you a truck and a half price. You save money, I make money, we both win. And I got a ton of business that way. Well, this is the same thing you could be doing with flatbed trailers if you allow that, but they're not lifting that. And I don't know why they're not lifting that. In my opinion, that should have been the first thing to do. And it's not even a thought in their head. So
is that like a national legislative issue? Like what's the issue? What's stopping them from? It sounds so simple.
Yeah, and it's kind of per state type thing when it comes to permits and things like that, because every state, you get a permit for every state. So they would have to come in and basically say, look, this is a national emergency. We need you guys to waive this and declare, because they can do stuff, in regards to national emergencies, and they could waive that. It's the same as, driving hours and things like that. It would have to be coordinated where they'd have to go to states and say, look, we need you, even if it's just in the state of California. They need to go to the state of California and say, look, to get stuff out of the port and take it to, different locations out of the port, we need to waive this weight rule. And I would just, like I said, that should have been some of the first things that they're working on, but they're not.
What are they doing? Are they doing anything to fix these issues?
Well, it's difficult because a lot of the stuff you're dealing with is you're dealing with some private companies, so you can only do so much before you have to basically say, I'm taking you over, which they can. But the actual port isn't run by the federal government. The actual Port of California is run by the cities that it's in. So Long Beach has Long Beach, LA, Los Angeles. And the mayor basically nominates a board of 5 people to run the port. Now, I looked into it, and only 1 person in Long Beach has any logistical background, which that's kind of interesting. You would think they would have some type of logistical. Just one out of 10. So I'm like, okay, very good. But the issue is that once you're caught off guard with logistics, it's very hard to get caught up. So some of the things that they did try to do was they got with some of the big companies, of course, like with the Walmart, Target, Samsung, FedEx, UPS, and I think there's somebody else. And they said, hey, you guys have to go in there and pull more stuff out of the port. They opened up the East Coast. They opened up portable port sites, like just got property and said, hey, we're taking this property to drop off containers and stuff like that. But it's not, the issue is you can't just start at the port. You need to start to getting the stuff off the port and then work your way back to the port, right? You can't, and that's the issue that I see, is that they're starting at the port and trying to fix everything else. No. We've got to start with the rail. We've got to start with the trucks, and then we get to the port. Mm-hmm. That, you know what I mean? But they're not. They just kind of focused on the port, and it really didn't do much at all. And then, some of the other stuff that they're doing is you have California saying, look, from now on, if you leave a container here more than 9 days, we're going to charge you compounding $100 a day per day, every day. Compounding. So on Monday, it's 100. On Tuesday, it's 200. On Wednesday, it's 400, and then 800, and so on. And then you have the federal government, which is coming in and saying you can't charge these crazy detention and demurrage prices. So you now have the city of California doing exactly the opposite that the federal government wants to do.
Okay.
What are you guys doing? So to me, they're doing very little in regards, and they're hoping that it works itself out.
That's where I was going. I was going to ask, like, it doesn't seem like they're really trying to fix the problem. I mean, we all know there's a problem, but it doesn't look like they're doing anything. And I mean, a lot of us say that they're doing it on purpose because they want the whole system to crumble so they can build something else in its place. I mean, do you think they're trying to federalize all this stuff? Which I don't want them to. That seems like a bad idea because the federal government's not good at running large nationwide programs here. I mean, do you think that would be a push that they would try to do to federalize our entire supply chain, the ports, the trains, everything?
It's difficult because there's a lot of federal regulation in the industry as it is. Like you have the FMCSA just on the trucking side. And then you have, I can't remember the train one right now. I can't remember the railroad one right now, the abbreviation for that. So you already have a ton of regulation in the industries now. Now, why they're not doing much of it, it kind of concerns me. At one point, I looked at it like, okay, you have a lot of people in the administration that have no idea how logistics works, right? In the beginning phase, I actually looked at them and said, this is poor management. I can see it. You guys are poor. You have no idea what you're doing. But they never called in people that knew what they were doing, in my opinion, that were going to come in and say, okay, look, here's how logistics work. You know, if I was a president and I didn't know logistics, I'd be calling in 10 people or 12 people or 20 people and be like, you boys sit down, figure out a solution. None of you are leaving until you get this fixed. Right. And then you're going to explain it to me so I understand, like I'm a 7-year-old. And that just didn't seem to happen. So there are limitations to what you can do and what can be done. It's just like people are like, well, bring in the reserves to start hauling this freight, you know, and take for the reserves. You could bring in the reserves to do this or the military to do this, but it would be more useful to bring them in to haul empty containers out of the port to make room. Like right now, it's like Tetris in there. You only have so much space to put all these containers, right? We've got to make space. So we've got to find outside locations to start putting these containers so we can start moving around these ships. And all they really did with the ships was tell them, look, way too many people can see you. I need you to move about 200 miles offshore so they can't see you, so they can't complain. So that didn't fix the problem. It just swept it under the rug. Now, I don't know if that was something because we're going to conflict, and the last thing you want is a bunch of ships sitting in a harbor, which makes easy targets.
Right.
Let's be honest. Or if it was actually just get them away. I believe it was a little bit of both, because if we are going to be going into conflict with a country, logistics is how countries technically, like when you're out there, you know, during World War II, they would sink resupply ships. Right. They're not going after. If I'm a submarine, I'm going to go after a resupply ship that doesn't have cannons and weapons and guns and depth charges and just cut. That's kind of how wars are fought usually in that aspect. Exactly. So the last thing you want to do is pile up a bunch of those ships in our port because it's like, you know, shooting fish in a barrel. It's like, oh, look at this one. So is that something that they move that away for that? It's a possibility. I would if I was, you know.
Especially on the West Coast.
Yeah, when it comes to logistics, I just don't know at this point if they're over their head or if they're basically looking to say, which I'm starting to dig into now, if you truly wanted to take a country down and truly wanted to, this is how you do it. The logistics is how you technically do it. Logistics would cause inflation. Inflation would cause people to say, help me. And then the government would come in with price changes. And this is exactly how Mao brought in communism. Not exactly, but I'm going to be doing a video or a show showing how this same progression happened in China when that China basically brought in communism because people at this point were begging for it.
Right. That's going to be a good start. We'll look forward to that one.
The videos, and I'm pulling some articles, and I'm pulling stuff like that. So,
okay.
To me, it's a lot more. It's nerve-wracking to see that because, and that kind of goes into the convoy, for me to actually see the progression from China, obviously a little different because they didn't have trucks and stuff like that they were dealing with. And then eventually people are like, help us, help us, help us. And then next thing you know, here's communism
coming in to save the day.
We're from the government. We're here to help.
There you go. There you go.
Right.
Let me throw this in there. Guardian Prep, appreciate you, brother. He says Sage can contact me if he'd like to have a reduction in fatigue-related incidents within logistics. Good stream.
Nice. Thank you, brother.
Appreciate you. Mods, you guys, I don't know if you've already done it. I haven't been paying attention. If you can drop Sage's link, and his link is also in the description. If you guys aren't subscribed to him for some reason, you're missing out. You had a good video yesterday about our exportation of the natural gas and how people are saying stop exporting our natural gas. We need it here to reduce our energy costs. Yeah, and I actually did. It was actually a letter written by a bunch of senators to the Department of Energy lady. You're honorable. I don't know if I consider her that, but either way, that's what they consider her. That they basically said, look, we understand the global politics of being able to deliver natural gas to other countries. We understand that. But as our natural gas goes up 30, 40, 50%, is this something that we really need to overlook the aspect that we need it here before we send it out there? And remember that natural gas exporting natural gas is sold by private industries, and they're looking, if they can, let's just say they're only getting $1 here, but they're getting $25 there because Russia's cutting them off. Well, supply and demand and money are going to say, send it. Right. And this is one of the things that, and I am not for government stepping in to private businesses and stuff like that, but I do feel that government should step in when it's giving our products and our natural resources to other countries. I believe that that's where government's job is to step in, either if it's intellectual property or natural gas. Anything that leaves our country, I believe that government should say, wait a minute, before we give this to this other country, we have to check this and make sure that we're not hurting. Right. And I'm on board with that. I'm on board with that just because not to nationalize everything, but before we export something, and like you said, I know supply and demand and private companies and everything, but if our country's hurting, it's going to hurt everyone in the long run. It's the way I look at it, right? Yeah. Right. And this is where I believe the government's job is, and again, I'm not a constitutional lawyer or anything, but in my opinion, as a U.S. citizen, I believe it is the job of the country to say, look, you have a resource that we need here. It's not, I'm not selling widgets or sneakers. That's gas, right? That's oil, that's gas, right. That's that's something our country needs, people need. It's in this, we have to monitor what you're shipping out compared to what we have here. So unless you can show that we have an abundance here and people's prices aren't going to go up, okay, fine. Overflow you can do. And they're not. It's not set up that, it's set up that it's wherever the highest dollar is going to pay. And this letter was sent by a bunch of senators to them saying, look, we need something to check into this and regulate this, because my constituents, my voters, the people who are going to vote for me, are telling me their gas price is going up 30, 40, 50%. Right. And what are we doing about this? Exactly. So, I mean, it's it's so many aspects. Like I said earlier, that's going on, things that are happening, and they're all connected to this, the supply chain, the logistics, and all that stuff. Right. Yeah, man. But so I want to kind of turn the conversation towards, the Freedom Convoy. We've been following it here on this channel on the Morning Reload, and we support them 100%. Me, I believe in free speech. I believe in total free speech. I really do. And but I've always said, even though I believe that, I also believe free speech has consequences. And if you're going to use it, you have to accept those consequences. And but this protest, what they're doing up there in Canada, man, God bless them. They're doing it. They're making their voices be heard. But you had a video last week that brought up relating it to the supply chain issue again. Right. And you support the Freedom Convoy. I mean, you said that in your video. Yes. You support people using their free speech. But you you did warn people that all of this stuff is going to affect the supply chain even more. And you specifically brought up, is it meat that we import from Canada?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing. Like logistics is weird. There's times that we ship meat out here to Canada, and then we bring meat into Canada. There's 150 trucks that were trying to bring meat into Canada. There's times we send chicken to China, and China's sending us chicken. So it's an extremely difficult process, which, you know, I might have to figure out if I can break it down to put it in English, because there's sometimes I don't even understand it.
Right.
But the issue that I have is that logistics is something that makes the world go round. It's the largest industry in the world. It's what keeps countries, you know, alive. You shut down their logistics and they crumble. You know, shutting down logistics to another country, if China were to say we're no longer delivering you any goods, that would be a declaration of war. Okay. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's that type of aspect of understanding logistics that it is a serious event. Back in 1981, the air traffic controllers were going to do a walkout, and planes bring a lot of pharmaceuticals, goods that have to be there next day. You know, air logistics is more important than people. If planes are flying, it's because of the cargo in their cargo bay, not because of the people on the plane, right?
Oh, okay.
It's more profitable. I mean, you know, your $200 airplane ticket is nothing compared to something I just charged next day air, a package that I charged $50. You know what I mean? 4 little packages in my cargo bay equal the same as you. I can haul a lot more envelopes in the cargo bay. So pharmaceuticals, like if, you know, we're out of medicine, but we can have that tomorrow. You know, so things are being flown and gotten there quick. So Reagan came out and said, look, you guys are not going to shut down. You're not going to walk out and shut down logistics in this country. It's not going to happen. I will fire all of you, and I will make it you will never hold another federal job ever. You want to test me? Well, he fired about 11,000 people. Yeah. So back then we understood that if you're going to if your protest turns into a shutdown of logistics, we have to understand the importance of that. You have to understand what you're doing. Any other time, like I said, you shut down logistics to a country. We went to war with Japan because we shut off their oil, and they needed oil, and they basically said we're gonna bomb you. So shutting things down like this is a big deal. Now, the repercussions of that is truck drivers their FMCSAs can be pulled. They could be considered as the T word, which I won't say, to the domestic-styled T word, because they are impeding the flow of logistics and goods to people who may need the items that are being delivered. Foods, medicines, things like that, right? Mm-hmm. Now, what that's also going to do, and it's a decision that we have to understand, it is not something you're going to see tomorrow. The price of goods will go up, okay? And it's supply and demand. If you have trucks in the system, and I have 100 loads to move, and there are 200 trucks, I can pay $2 a mile, let's just say, right? Okay. But if there are 200 loads and 100 trucks, I now might have to pay $5 a mile because I have to win the trucks over with money. So the more trucks that get pulled out of the system, the higher price is for goods to be shipped. When shipping goes up, cost goes up. And we just saw even Amazon's raising their price. It's only a couple bucks, but they're big enough that they can do that a couple bucks and still be profitable. So what actually happens is eventually the mom and pop shops can't absorb the hit on the freight costs. They're going to shut down. Walmart can, but mom and pop can't.
Right.
So we're already at a system where they're already paying, I think I pulled up about $3 a mile when 2 years ago, it's $3.70 a mile now, compared to 2 years ago, it was $2.08 a mile. Oh. So you're already way up on pricing. When you start to pull more trucks out of the system, that price is going to go up. Because the only way for me to sway a truck, not the only way, the main way for me to sway a truck is to offer him more money than the other guy who wants his freight moved. If we're both trying to move something and you're willing to pay $3 and I'm willing to pay $4, truck's coming to me. Right? So you're out of luck. So you either got to go $4.10 or $4.20 or whatever to outbid me. So what happens, I just want everybody to understand, is this is not something that happens instantly. It happens about 3 months or however long after this kicks in. And it's one of those things that we all have to be ready for and understand. So I have no problem supporting the trucks, but understand there are repercussions for these actions that will eventually affect your pocketbook. Right. Or your local business that no longer can afford to keep open. So then Walmart, because that's why people were asking me, well, why aren't the Teamsters jumping on this? Why aren't they involved? Because the Teamsters normally work for companies like that, big companies, right? Well, those big companies, when the little companies go out, those big companies are just going to get more money. Why would they jump on this?
Right. So that's what I wanted to touch on too. Because you talked about this a lot more in depth in your video too. What's going on, with the Freedom Convoy, and people are calling for a similar protest here in America. We Americans, man, we're all about our free speech and fighting the man. But I think it would be a good thing, but only if it is organized and has a specific goal. Not do it just to show the government we can protest too. Because knowing this, looking at how it's going to affect the supply chain issue, doesn't mean they're going to lose any of my support. But knowing it ahead of time allows us to prepare for it. Like I said, free speech has consequences. That's fine. We can accept it. But I want to know, like the long term, you mentioned how the mom and pop's going to be shut down because they can't handle the increased costs of shipping their freight or their goods or whatever. So like you just said, that means it's going to go to the big chains like Walmart and Target, right, and all these other places that can afford to pay more for their freight. And probably I would imagine they have their own like trucking company, really, like Walmart ships their own stuff, right? They don't have to depend on independent truckers. So how is that, like, what's going on in Canada? Because they are getting results, by doing what they're doing. But is it affecting their supply chain enough to where that you think they're going to get results? Like it's about the mandate up there, and they're trying to just get the government to stop mandating us and just let's get back to business as usual.
Correct.
Do you think they're going to have enough push doing what they're doing to get that, in your opinion?
It's a couple things, and here's what the issue that we understand, right? This is what my main concern is. The government has no trucks and has no businesses. It makes money off of taxes, right, from the businesses it has, correct? Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's the first thing. So when you affect logistics, you cause freight prices to go up, which means people are now making from $1,000 to $2,000. So if I'm doing the same load for $2,000 that I was doing for $1,000 a month ago, I have to pay more taxes. Okay. Which means the government gets more money, right? Because I did do the same load for double the price. So they get more money. Okay. So from the government aspect, now the government's making more money. Now, they also want in my opinion, they also want small businesses gone. They want to move towards big businesses. This is something with the great start over. I'm trying to not use the words to get you in trouble.
I got you.
The great start over. That's one of the... So now you're actually helping that process happen. You're getting the government more money by basically doing the same thing for more money, which is more taxes. So if I'm the government, until people... And then you're also giving me a reason to basically come in and take control and fix a problem. Because eventually people are going to be like, hey, this is a problem. Please fix it. Please help me. My prices are too high. So then the government comes in and they fix the problem and they look like a hero. Right? So the issue is I believe by doing some of this, now there is, like I said, there is a way to do this and I understand why they're doing it and that's fine. But again, logistically, they have to be careful because this is not just a protest. You are legitimately doing something that is technically considered, like I said, an act of war if another country did it to us.
Right.
Okay. So I don't know if they're going... I believe the mandates are going to come down anyways. The UK just dropped them, but they still want to do a trucker strike, which I'm trying to figure that out. we're lowering our mandates, the Supreme Court, and they're not, and Biden, they just pulled the 101 and they're slowly bringing this down. I believe they're going to start to come down even without this, right? But the issue is that how far do they push before eventually the government has to come in and say, sorry, we're bringing in the military to clear these roads, to get these products delivered, because my grandma needs that medicine. Right. My brother needs his food. You know what I mean? I need my supplies, whatever that might be. And it's one of those things that if we're at this point in a country, I'm more afraid of the point that we are at the country than the actual protests. If we feel, does that make sense?
So, yeah, I mean, you're basically saying it's down to public opinion on what's happening and what's going on. And you think, and I agree with you, that further down the line, when the supply chain hits again and it hits us, it hits our wallets, or we can't get the things we need, that's going to determine, how much support they continue to get. Like, Are we really, that's what I was getting at. Like, are we willing to sacrifice and suffer like they are? Because we're not getting the things we need anymore because the supply chain is so disrupted.
Correct. I think we have very short memories. We have 160 character Twitter memories. We have remember now TikTok is the most viewed platform as it is, and it's 60 seconds long. So we have approximately gone in 60-second situation here in regards to our memories, right? You're not going to remember why they did this. You're just going to remember, holy crap, my grocery store bill is now $100 when it was $50 last week. Or I'm just using examples. Right. And you're going to say, why is this? And they're going to come in, they're going to say, well, the truckers did this to you. Oh, well, stop it. Make them stop. And next thing you know, if this is where it turns into, I don't believe there's any going back. If it gets to the point that the government has to step in, I don't believe it's going to go back to where it was before, where they're just going to fix it. I believe there will be knee-jerk reactions that none of us are going to like. And some of the stuff that they did, remember, Nixon did in 1971 was price regulations. He basically came in and said, you can't charge any more than this. This is all you're going to be able to charge. And that's going to also hurt truckers. Mm-hmm. And they're not going to like that. So it is we are at a point now where we are in a very dangerous situation when you start to feel that your protest has to go to the logistics and product delivery of a country. When you start to feel that you take it there, you're now reaching a point where it's all or nothing. Because I don't see it if you guys jump on that or if trucks jump on that and it gets to the point that the government has to step in, it's not going back. It's not going back.
I would agree with that too. Especially if it happened, especially the American government, man. If they get their hands on something, they're never going to let it go. And I mean, the Canadian government, from what I've been seeing and following, talking about bringing in the military to stop things and to bring it down. So, but yeah, man, I guess it does boil down to public opinion. That's why I said if there is another protest here in the States that's similar to this one, it needs to have a goal and it needs to be organized. We don't just need people showing up and just waving a flag and saying freedom. There needs to be like a protest. If you're going to use your First Amendment right to protest, you need to take it to where it's going to be most visible. It's going to be the loudest. And it has like an end goal, an end run. You know what I'm saying? You brought that up the other day in one of your videos. You said we should drive to Washington D.C. and surround it with trucks. To what end though? Like that would be my question. Like what to do what at Washington D.C. to demand everyone to quit? Like that's what I mean. Like I'm all for protests. I really am. But I think there's too many protests going on that don't really have a focus. It's just, we don't like this, we're going to protest it. But that's not what protest is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about, sharing your voice, saying, we don't like this, we're not being heard, we're protesting this. This is why we're protesting it. This is what we're protesting for. This is what we want. Like the Freedom Convoy has that. I mean, they're protesting the international cross mandate, and we all support that.
Right. And this is where when you protest something, when we all protest something, which has happened over, civil rights and everything else, right? We've seen the movement for the civil rights movement and other stuff. And that a lot of times of that protest is, okay, we have 1 million people here that all believe something should change. And it's the fact that the amount of people are here to do this. It's a movement. It's a movement, right?
Right.
When you start to take something like logistics and add that into a protest, that is next level. You are not truly protesting something. You are demanding something. You are holding a country hostage. Like, believe it or not, admit it or not, you are literally if you have 50, 60,000 trucks that are supposed to be delivering food and goods, that's not a protest. A protest, if I would have no problem if 2 million people marched on Washington on a Saturday and said, we want mandates dropped. Okay. Right. Or left something like that. But when you pick a specific job, a specific logistics in this country, and you say, we're going to shut this down, that is not, in my eyes, that's not a protest. You are now, you're demanding something, and you are doing something that will literally destroy people if by not getting goods. Right. Or raising prices is the next level. Right. And it's supposed to be peaceful. And this is where it's a fine line between freedom of speech and taking it to that next level where you are now holding something hostage. Right. I can't take politicians hostage and say, drop the mandates and I'll release them. Even though they might not, if it's Nancy Pelosi, they might say, well, keep her. Either way, I can't do that. Right. Well, what I'm doing is I'm now taking the goods of the country possibly and holding them hostage and saying, drop the mandates. So and I know not a lot of people are going to agree with me or they're going to like what I'm saying, but we have to make sure that we understand if it turns into that, well, they're going to say, well, they did that during the Summer of Love and stuff like that. They didn't. They tried stopping streets and stuff like that, but that's the cops' job to go in there and clear those streets and clear those people. Now, if they did it or not, that's a different story. But when you legitimately say, hey, I'm not going to deliver any goods to this country and products until you do something, it's a fine line that you've crossed, and you better be ready to be able to deal with the repercussions of that line. Does that kind of make sense?
Absolutely. I mean, that was a good way to put it. It's a movement. It's more than a protest. It really is. And I mean, I've heard people characterize it too. What's going on right now in Canada is kind of a revolution. They're kind of revolting.
Correct.
Like you said. And I've never thought of warfare strictly from a logistical point of view like that. Disrupting an entire country's supply line. That is a way that is a movement. That is kind of a revolt, you know.
And that's what we're doing. We're shutting, perfect example. The changing of the weather that starts with a C. I'm trying not to get you in trouble. It's one of those things that because of that, we don't want to deal with coal anymore, right? We're shutting down coal. Mm-hmm. Well, the main country, coal is China's almost number one producer of electricity. So if you try to shut down coal, China's going to say, wait a second. You know what I mean? And this is some of the stuff that we're doing towards China. We go after Japanese. We went after oil. That was Japan wanted to go and take over different countries. They were heavy-handedly doing it. So that means that they needed military planes and stuff. So they needed, oil for their planes. We turned the oil off. They bombed us. So understand that pushing these type of things here in this country, eventually, if I don't get food or I can't find the food, different things, we're short-sighted. We won't remember what's going on, and we'll just and they're going to tell us what's happening, and we're going to start blaming the truck drivers. Yeah. And that's what's I believe is going to happen. And then the government's going to come in and fix the problem that they caused, and they're going to look like heroes.
Yeah, I definitely see that happen, especially the media blackout on what's actually going on the ground there in Canada.
Correct.
And like you said, once it really starts hitting people, people are passionate in the beginning, like, yeah, 100%, we're behind you guys. We could see that by the money they've raised on GoFundMe and the way the government is reacting to what they're doing there. But I think we're going to see that too in the coming months. If it continues to go, if they keep going strong and they've got the money, they've got the backing, the support to do it. But I think you're going to see a lot of people start falling off because of how it's affecting them. Because like you said, people have in our modern society, people have short memories,
Right. And this is one of the things, real quick, I can try to show forever. But China, like I said, one of the things that China did to bring communism is they had to do a whole bunch of things. One of the things they had to do was take down the capitalist style companies. Right. And if you want to take down companies and eliminate them, this is the best way to do it. This is 100% the best way to do it. And so, in my opinion, the fact that they're not doing anything to stop logistics like Reagan did makes me kind of, wait, what are you guys not? Why are you guys not jumping all over this? How could you not jump on this? Because I have seen videos of tractors shutting down roads and trucks blocking things. And at that point, like I said, Reagan knew the importance of that and said, you're not doing it. You don't show up tomorrow, you're all fired and you'll never work again. And he did it. And it was like, that was how important logistics is. You have to keep it moving.
Right. I'm with you on that. I'm really starting to see that. But, we're coming to a close. I got to get ready to go. But thank you for coming on, man. I would like to have you on again and really get more into this stuff. Because I've learned stuff today just sitting here talking with you about it. I've been wanting to talk to you about this stuff for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, I watch your videos and I learn a lot, but when you ask people questions and you discuss things, a lot of things come out. But anyway, guys, if you have questions for Sage, man, go to his channel, hit him up in his email, ask him questions, his comment. Thank you, Milkmaid. Milkmaid just dropped his link again.
Yes, thank you.
And we'll be looking forward to the videos you said you're going to drop, looking into what you're talking about earlier about how this stuff leads into communism and whatnot. I'm looking forward to that because, the 2030 project and all that leading up to that, I believe it because it's not hidden. They're not hiding that. The World Economic Forum, you can go to their channel on YouTube right now and watch all the videos about what they want to do and what they're trying to put in place globally.
Right.
So, I think all things are kind of leading to that from the world power perspective. But, excuse me. Anyway, guys, thank everybody for hanging out with us this morning. We went almost an hour and about 100 folks in here listening and learning with us. But you guys show Sage some love.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. And I eventually want to do, and this is maybe some of your people interested. I'm trying to put together a think tank video where I'm just going to throw a topic. I'm going to say, here's our problem. How do we get out of it? And just throw a bunch of people out there and say, okay, this is type of stuff. So to me, I think that'd be an interesting show. Where I just kind of throw a bunch of stuff on the screen, and they do this stuff in regards to problems that has occurred that put us all into this situation, or logistic problems, or so it's not just gonna be logistical, just whatever a topic is. Hey, power grid goes down. How do we fix the problem with the country? You guys are now in charge. What should we do? Let's put this together. And it's like almost like wargaming certain things. So I'm thinking about doing a show like that too. So.
Absolutely, bro. Amen. I'd definitely be interested in being a part of that. That sounds awesome.
Cool.
All right, guys. Just final thoughts from me. Just based on what Sage is telling us about supply chain issues. Be prepared. Be prepared. To take a hit in our wallets, to take a hit in our own little supply chains. What we have on hand, food, and all the things that we need, medicines you may need. Think ahead a few months. Because if we want to support folks who are, fighting for their own freedoms, we have to be really ready, to make those sacrifices as well. But I hope you guys have a great weekend. I'll see you back here Monday morning for the reload, man. Y'all have a great day and a great weekend.
And real quick, if anybody wants a break of everything, just want some fun, Fall Fold'em is a channel that I do. It's on my channel page. It's me and my wife, and it's just kind of comedy and funny, and it's a good time. So if you guys subscribe to Fall Fold'em, if anybody can drop the link in there or whatever, that'd be great. But yeah, that's the other one too. Thanks.
Yeah. While I play the outro, you'll have a few minutes. If you could look up Fall Fold'em, it is really good channel. A lot of good laughs. You guys will enjoy that as well. Sorry, I meant to bring that up, Sage. I'm glad you remember.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. You guys have a good day. God bless everybody.
Sayonara, sucker.